Okay, continuation of our module. So under week 8, okay, this will be a loop structure. Okay, so let's open this page. Okay, so we have here the C++ for loop. Okay, and we have the for loop. So there are three types of for loops in C++, which are for loop, while loop, and do while loop. So for loop, okay, so it has the condition here. So initialization, condition, and then update, and the body of the loop. Okay, so initialization is initiates the variables and executed it only once. So if the condition is true, the body of for loop is executed, and if false, it's step terminated and updates the value of initialized variables and again checks the condition. So for its flow chart of the for loop, so initialization, okay, so upon running the program, and then the text conditions will be executed or analyzed. And if the test condition is true, it will execute the for loop body and update the expression and goes back to the test condition. And if it's true, it will go back to the body for loop body and then update the expression. And it is a continuous loop. And if the test condition arrives to a false condition, okay, so the loop is being terminated. Okay, so let's have this example. Okay, you'll notice here an integer which is equal to 1, and if that integer I is uh, less than or equal to 5, okay, with an increment, okay, of the I or integer I. So you know increment, it adds 1, okay, increment of 1 to the integer I, okay, and for C out, so I will be equal to that increment, okay. So if the first condition, okay, so if I is 1, if that is true, 1 is printed and I is increased to 2. So it adds 1 using this increment operator, okay. So if I is equivalent to 2 and that is true, it will be printed and so on. And if the condition arrives to 6, okay, so you have this condition I is less than or equal to 5. So if it increases to 6, okay, so the loop is being terminated and that statement becomes false. Okay, so 6 is not less than or equal to 5. Okay, let us try this program. So we'll just create a new file. Oops, let's copy this one. Okay, then let us execute this program. Okay, so let's try for loop. Okay. So there are no errors. Okay, so the output are, so the integer I is equal to 1 and it increments. Okay, and the condition is less than or equal to 5, so that is true. So it will print out 2, then print out 3, 4, and 5. So if 5 is incremented by 1, okay, that becomes 6. So the statement here becomes false, so it will end the program. Okay, so I'll just close this one. Okay, and then for displaying a text 5 times, similar what you call this, similar program from the example number 1, but then the output is hello world. Okay, so if I'm going to change this value to 7, okay, so it will have an output of hello world 7 times. Okay, the interpretation is provided here. Okay, so if I'm going to run this program, okay, so I'll just new, okay, then I'll just execute and save it as for loop. Okay, Then notice that hello world is executed. So if I'm going to change this to 6 or 7, and then execute the program, so hello world will be printed out 7 times. Okay, so just close this one. Now find the sum of first and natural numbers. So first n, so first 5, first 7, and so on. Okay, so if you integer is okay, so sum is equal to 0, integer, number sum. So output, enter, and then number. So integer. So count 1 and then count. Okay, if greater than or equal to 1 and then see out. Okay, sum. So plus 1. Okay, I'll just copy this one. Okay, so I'll just create a new file. Okay, so I'll just execute this one. Sum of first n. So I'll just type in, let's say, 5. Sum is 15. So how did the program arrive to that answer? So the first sum of the first, say, 5 numbers, so the positive integers such as 1, 2, 3, and so on are non-natural numbers. So it added all the positive integers from 1 to 5. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, okay, and then plus 5. That arrives to sum of 15. Okay, then so range-based loop. So if you have a range, okay, so number array is provided. So that is given 1 to 10. Then the integers n, okay, then output. So in the above, we have declared the initialized an int array named number array. Okay, it has 10 items, and we have used range for based for loop to access all the items in the array. So it will access all these uh, variables, okay, or numbers. Okay, for the infinite loop, okay, so as you can see here, uh, so the integer I is equal this greater than 0. So this is an infinite loop. So it will increment, increment, so on. So this program will run the code infinite times. Okay, so I'll just close this one. So any more example? Okay, so let's try this example. So this will generate a multiplication table, okay, that has an output, okay, with the given output here. Okay, so let's try this program. I'll just execute it. Okay. So if you enter a positive integer, okay, so let's say any number, okay, so input is n, then the integer will increment, okay, up to 10, okay, so from 1 to 10 here, and then the integer you have inputted here will be multiplied to the I value. Okay, so first is I will be 1, and then increment becomes 2 and 3 and so on. So let's try 6, then enter. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 10 is your integer I here. Okay, and it's incremented up to the limits of 10. Okay, and that integer that you have entered will be multiplied those increments. Okay, this is just an example. Okay, I'll just close this one. Okay, so example 2, multiplication table up to a given range. So up to a range, you need to enter a value and then you provide your range. Okay, so if I is equal to 1 and I becomes less than or equal to that given range, okay, so it will be multiplied to that value of increments. Okay, so let's try to copy this program. Just create a new file, then paste it, then execute it. Okay, multiplication with range. Okay, so I will try to input an integer n. Okay, so I'll provide an integer. So let's say integer 9, enter, and then range. So I wanted to have a multiplication table up to a range of 7. Let's say 9 times 1, 9 times 2, 3, 4, up to 7. So I'll try 7. Okay, so you have this output here. Okay, so the range will be limited to the increments of I here. Okay, so I'll just close this one. Okay, and then that's it for this module. So I'll just close this one. Okay, so that ends the module for the for loop.